Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bad Movie Night. My name's Chris. Tonight I checked out the movie The Ghosts of War. It's written and directed by Eric Bress, who is the guy who made The Butterfly Effect from like 2004. This is only his second movie that he's directed, and it is a horror movie about a bunch of American World War II soldiers who have to kind of secure this big mansion place and wait for their replacements to arrive, and meanwhile supernatural hijinks ensue. So for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie. I think many people might have some issues with the ending, and I'll get to it later during spoilers. But this, I like a period piece movie, and this tries to blend two genres into like this own hybrid type thing, and then even goes a little bit further later on. But I think what I like so much about it is the actors, I think, are all pretty good, and you'd probably recognize a few of these faces. But the characters, while they're kind of just archetypes and not very deep, they're portrayed really well, and the dynamic they have as a group works really well and made me like everyone for the most part. There's also a bit of mystery to this thing, and like I said, it does go places that you aren't expecting, because when it started, I kind of like thought it was going to be super predictable. And in some ways, there is some predictability. A lot of the scares are kind of tropey, but there is a few cool sequences. Like there's a moment where they sprinkle flour on the floor and you can see the footprints of the ghost approaching. It helps build tension. I thought it was a pretty good sequence. I thought the setting was really cool. This mansion was awesome. At first I thought it was like the same place they filmed The Haunting of Hill House, but I don't think it is. But it kind of reminded me of the layout with the big open staircase that kind of has different wings of the estate. And it all looks really nice. They must have had like a hazer running in like every scene, because you can see all the light beams through all the windows and stuff like that. It just gives it a really cinematic look. And I thought it was shot really well. There is some dialogue here and there that sounds a little, I don't know, unnatural. I think they're trying to pull back some like sayings and slang from World War II era, and it just comes off, like I said, a little bit unnatural from the actors. But it doesn't ruin the movie at all. It kind of sticks out to you occasionally here and there. Some pretty good sound design with people walking around this crickety house in the wood, and just voices and stuff like that to set a creepy tone. There's some pretty good gore in this movie too. Not so much like kill sequences that show gore, but more or less like the after effects that are pretty effective, kind of like what you would see in a lot of World War II movies with like limbs being separated and stuff like that. But it looks nice. That's a weird way of saying that. So there is a bit of mystery to unwind here, and it goes beyond what you kind of expect, with the mystery being, why is this house haunted? There is that, but it also ties into all the characters in kind of a fun way, and they foreshadow things along the way that at first don't make sense, but by the end of the movie, they do add up. There is a sequence where they kind of show their hand and tell you pretty much what this movie is, and again, I'll get to that stuff in spoilers, because I do think the ending, I do think a lot of people might not like it. So the other thing that stuck out to me, it being a World War II movie, there is a few action sequences with gunfights and stuff like that I thought were actually really well done as well. However, there are moments where you question why characters are doing things they are doing. It's kind of the old horror movie stuff where it's like, why would you go in this room? There's no reason to. There's a moment where a guy gets upset because nobody drained the bathtub. It's like nobody would care about draining the bathtub given the circumstances. So there's little moments like that kind of feel more like forced plot points than they do like actual rational character decisions. So I will say, before I get into spoilers, I did enjoy the movie. I think it is worth checking out. It's a fun, breezy movie. It wastes zero of your time. Immediately you have supernatural things happening. And then it goes interesting places. So check it out. It's available now on Netflix. Let's talk about some spoilers though. The end of the movie is quite a departure from where it starts. So, 85% of the movie is in World War II, and then all of a sudden we're in a present future time in the Middle East. And then even beyond that, we get into some futuristic virtual reality thing. And it does make the movie feel disjointed a little bit, because it's so shocking, because you've been spending so much time in this aesthetic of this World War II with these characters, and then all of a sudden to be in what appears to be like a present time feels different. The lighting is different. It's the same faces, but everything does feel different. That's the shock. And then when you get to even beyond that, to this sci-fi laboratory with Billy Zane, it starts to feel cheap in a way. It feels like a sci-fi original movie in its aesthetic, with its, like, I don't know, over-the-top sci-fi props and stuff like that. It feels way less grounded. The whole World War II stuff is so tactile, and then to go from that into like this floating screens and pads that, and like digital pads that say random crazy sci-fi stuff is does make it feel a bit disjointed. I do get it though, because at one point earlier in the movie, they talk about the short story, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. And that's kind of basically what this movie is. It's kind of just like a retelling, modified retelling of that kind of idea, where these soldiers in the Middle East feel guilt and were perhaps cursed by these people because they didn't, stand up for this family and try and protect them. And so now they go and they're just going to be doomed to relive these sins over and over again, albeit in virtual reality. So, I don't know. Like, it makes sense when you say it like that, but it does feel a little bit disappointing by the end, where it's like the movie went so ridiculous at one point with this sci-fi stuff, and you don't have any time to kind of sit with it before the movie's over. Because the rest of the time, like I said, you're in the World War II thing, and you're so accustomed to it, and when it jars you out into the sci-fi thing, it takes you a moment, and the movie doesn't give you a moment to get accustomed to it. So it does feel a little bit weird and kind of disappointing. So the movie may have overextended its hand quite a little bit here with this stuff, but it is a fun twist, and it's not something you're expecting. So I'll give it props for trying. What does kind of rub you the wrong way a little bit is they kind of sensationalize these American soldiers in a way where they're so heroic and they want to do the right thing, they just couldn't at the moment. And then it paints this what seems like a very innocent family who was tortured as like radicals and terrorists because of their final act. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not sure if that was what they were going for. I think they were just trying to make these soldiers feel the guilt because they did say that they were going to protect this family at one point. So I don't know. I could just be reading that wrong, or maybe I'm being a little too sensitive to the topic. I don't know. Let me know. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a fun time. It's a brisk movie. It's not as fun as Overlord, but it has probably nowhere near the budget, and you don't get too many World War II horror hybrids. I know there's like Outpost, but that's more of a modern day with like World War II Nazis and stuff like that. So if there's any other movies like this, let me know down below and I'll check them out. The only other thing to say is this movie did inspire me to go back and listen to the Slayer song Ghosts of War, and that is an awesome song, and Dave Lombardo is an amazing drummer. And that's all I have to say about that. So make sure you check out Ghosts of War on Netflix, and then go pick up South of Heaven from Slayer, and then comment below what your favorite Slayer song is. That's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you here next time. Goodbye.